Hello everyone, Kim Victoria here, and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being a subscriber. And I am starting a new project. It's going to be a new playlist. I'm going to go through it kind of more step by step so that the titles of the videos match what I'm working on to reflect your interests. So there's going to be a cover video, there's going to be signatures, there's going to be, the usual pockets, tags, flip outs, all the good stuff. And this is the pile I've put together. So let me go through this pile and give you a little more information about what my plans are. Okay? I thought it might be helpful to kind of show you the parts and pieces I've been gathering up. And what I've been doing more recently is I've got these boxes, and when I find things that I think are going to go well with a certain project, I start putting things in it. So I go through ribbon and I've only, I've got one of those little three-tier cart sorts of things, and each tier has the project in it. And I could do a lot more. I mean, I've got all these ideas. So this one's been rolling around. I was going to start this before ABC April 2025. So I have continued to add to the box, and it got piled high with everything. So what I have in the box here right now is I realized I have some ruffled lace, and then there's this lovely braid. I've got this little doily thing I found at a thrift store. I've got some wide lace here. I do not know what I am going to use at this point. These are my rubber stamps that from my line that are no longer available, but I made all of these musical notes, and there's a little harp. I have some, I'm going with the black and white, but vintage. So everything has to have kind of that, uh, the kind of the off-color ivory, old paper, things like that. I have some note ribbon that I picked up somewhere along the line, and I have some things. So I might get into the browns a little bit. I might just stick with the ivories. I'm not quite too sure. Um, and then I have scrapbook paper, of course. But what I did was I actually tea dyed some scrapbook paper. Now this one came this way, but I tea dyed some vellum that was scrapbook paper size. I'd never done that before, so I thought that might be a fun thing to try. So that's kind of neat. But this is some scrapbook paper that I had that I did tea dye. It was very much of a white and black, and you can see that I don't remember whether it was tea or coffee. And then this one, yeah, I tea dyed or coffee dyed this piece, and I even did it with some other, yeah. So it's not a lot of dyeing, but it took that stark white off of it. So this one I did not dye. That was a more recent find. This one I did dye. That one has a stronger dye. So that's the scrapbook papers. So I've got, yeah, these are scrapbook papers that I dyed for the most part. I also did some crinkling on some scrapbook papers that were just plain white, just doing the experiments, because I hadn't done a lot of that. And here's some big pieces of cardboard that, from the back of the scrapbook paper. Then the other thing that I have here is I have some coffee dyed file folders. As I said, I'm not too sure what I'm going to use. This is some sketch paper, some lightweight. This is some dyed cardstock. Then I have just some odds and ends. I wanted to mention these. Now, this is some of my dyed paper, and I ran it through the printer. Now, this is a design that I sell on my Etsy shop. It has kind of a musical theme, and it's a piece of clip art. I will put down in the description box the name of the program I use to manipulate images, because it's a wonderful program, and it's not Photoshop, but it's one that is just as good or better than Photoshop. I really love it, and it's a low cost. And I love that very much because Photoshop has now become very expensive to use. So I shrunk it down so that it would be, I made it into two images on one sheet so I could fold it in half. The other thing I did is I went online and I found online, I searched for blank music paper and I got basically this and something like it. There comes in various layouts. So I took those and again I put it in that program. It's called Affinity Photo. And I put it in that program and then I just took the symbols and turned them horizontal. So these can be, yeah, they're on the other side, but yeah, I might want to flip that. Hmm. No, it's okay. I'm going to play around with this because maybe I'll turn this into, I could turn that into flip outs. But I did print some of these two-sided, but I did the layout on these so that these spaces in between are wide enough to be written on with words and not music notes. But if someone likes to write music, there's some pages that are like that. And this is another where I have created a document with horizontal lines so that I can fold it in half and have journaling journaling pages. So that's what is that pile. I have some miscellaneous things here. I've included this coloring book because they're really nice designs and they could be useful for decorative work. Picked up a magazine here or there with some music images, some this says let there be music. I thought that could be words I incorporate in. This is from a upholstery fabric catalog, but there was a nice violin image. A friend of mine did some stamping. I don't have these stamps, but that paper was in her stash. Got some odds and ends. This was fun. I tea-dyed a magazine image. I don't know what this was, but it looked cool. Oh, and here's a full size of that sheet that I have on my Etsy page shop for kind of a musical theme. Piece of scrapbook paper, some envelopes. What else have I got? I've got from a thrift store some music books. So I figure those are going to be useful. There's the box. I was given a bag full of, there, look at these. These are little piano buttons. Yeah, these are, yeah, they're piano buttons. And what else was, oh, yeah, look at this. These are buttons also. They're the treble clef. They're all treble clef. Yeah, buttons. You just never know. Let's see. Oh, these are little plastic. Are they buttons? Huh. It's just little plastic things that say music. So this is going to be an interesting journal. It's got, I've got all kinds of stuff. Oh, look at this. These are gold treble clefs. There's some black and white ribbon in here. Okay, so there's that. And I have some ivory muslin, or actually it's just a lightweight cotton. It's not muslin, but thought I might need that. I have this kind of a heavier weight cotton fabric. This is going to be the cover material. I'm going to do the cover material. Yeah, it's a kind of a more of a standard weight cotton. Very nice. I was thinking of using this for the spine. And as it turns out, if I use this size cardboard, which is what I planned it to do, something like this. And I'm not quite sure yet. If I have a, depends on how wide the spine is. If the spine is 2 inches, then I would be kind of wrapping the nose of these critters around onto the spine, whatever these fun critters are. So, yeah, and I've got some little bits and pieces of other things, but this is kind of my kit for making this. I got some notes here, and I haven't touched it since I started the hashtag ABC April. It is now May 2025, and this was the next project I had in mind. So, here's my stuff. So now I'm going to kind of sort through this and get a better handle on what I plan on doing. And then I'll do it step by step and I'll create videos for kind of the step by step. Um, yeah, I'm not quite too sure how I'm going to go about this right now. So, yeah, it's just kind of like take a box and start putting things in it and see what evolves. And this is how this has evolved. So, I will have a playlist for this one, and I'm going to break it up into parts and pieces because this cover, I'm going to do a cover video for sure. So we'll see. We'll see. Yeah. Here's my stash. So now that you've seen some of my supplies, this is most of my supplies. I think for this project, there's going to be other papers and then, of course, I'm going to go for it with all of the, um, golly, I have no idea, right? When I get into it, things will happen. And that's always what happens with journals. Just things happen. And I might find more goodies too. So I've got all of these fun little buttons. I'll be cutting shanks off and using them somehow. I'm not too sure at this point, but I even found that there was some saxophones and there were some musical notes as buttons. These were all buttons. Amazing, huh? Fun stuff. So, this is the project for April. I'm calling it Vintage Music. So, I hope you'll join me. And it's going to be an adventure since I don't really know what I'm going to be doing just yet, but it's going to be fun. So I hope you'll join me and you get some inspiration out of all this. And there's so much here. Keep an eye on my Etsy shop because once I get done with this project, and I will announce it again, and there's always the links in the description box, but I'll put together like little kits of these musical themed items to go in my Etsy shop under the ephemera section so that I got to share the wealth. There is a lot of wealth here. All right. Thank you so much for watching and joining me in my next adventure in journal making. All right. Bye for now.